Not yet, it is.
It is?
Yeah, go.
Okay, go. So today we sent our wonderful Roberta and Sabrina to interview the manager director of Dior. Then we went to the store, but thanks to them, we were able to capture some amazing footage. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Roberta and this is Sabrina, and today we are going to interview Julie Kayl.
Hi.
Hi Julie, so would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Julie. I'm a department manager in Christian Dior in Selfridges in menswear department. I've been working for Christian Dior for about 3 years and a half. I started in head office in Paris, and then I moved to London. I was a trainee manager, then assistant manager, and since the beginning of the year, department manager.
Oh, really nice. So how long have you been working on this sector, and what are the most interesting and peculiar aspects that you might not find in other fields?
So I've been working in fashion for quite a long time, for about, I guess, 7 years or so. One of my first internships was already in LVMH, and it was in Louis Vuitton. I would say the most interesting thing is, well, to be honest, I've always loved that field. My grandmother was a seamstress, so I could see her sewing at home when I was a kid. So it was really like I used to sew clothes for my Barbie, so it's really something that I really liked. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a designer. I had terrible taste, so I decided not to go towards that. I guess what I really like is to have the contact with the clients all the time and not being in an office in front of a computer. I started in marketing in fashion, so I would say, and I felt really disconnected from the clients and from the market. So I said, at least being here in contact with my clients, I feel like I'm making things move forward, and I feel like I have my own business, like I have my own small company.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really good. It's really interesting.
Okay, let's move on. So what does a typical day look like for Dior's department manager?
That's one of the things that's interesting, is that there is no typical day.
Oh.
There is no typical day because it really depends on the clients. So very often I have my plan for the day, and then a lot of things happen, and then my day ends up being completely different from what I was planning. So, but theoretically, I would say first I would check sales. I would check how much we've been doing so far for the month, for the year. I would check what other stores have been doing around, especially Harrods. I would check how many appointments we have with the clients. I would check stock levels if there is something that we need to get. And I would check in terms of my team who needs to do what during the day and try to organize them for that. And then it depends if we have deliveries, it depends if we have inventories, it depends if I have appointments that take a lot of my time, so it really depends on the day. It's that's quite the exciting part, is that you never know.
Okay, so you have worked for Dior, Massimo Dutti, Prada, and even Louis Vuitton. So which experience did you enjoy the most, and why?
Well, as a French person passionate about fashion, I always wanted to work for Christian Dior. It was, and I'm fascinated with the 40s and the 50s, and when you're passionate about fashion in 40s and the 50s, that's the brand. So it's really the brand that I wanted to work for, so I'm really thrilled to be in the brand. I think it's a great brand to grow as well. I feel like I've been able to grow a lot, and I'm given the opportunity to grow, so that's amazing. The other brands that I worked for, it was amazing experiences. I would say I took different things from the different brands because it was different positions. So in Vuitton, I was working in marketing, so I definitely saw all that product development part, because I was working on luggages and travel accessories and developing them and briefing design team. So that was one part of the job. One part of the field, let's say. For Massimo Dutti, it was a completely different environment, because in Massimo Dutti, the point is to have the right product at the right place, that when the clients come, they just take it and then they pay. Which is completely different from what I'm doing here. Whereas here, I have a small portion of my stock outside, and the idea is that we need to develop the clients, so it's a lot of clienteling. So I would say they were all interesting in a way. They gave me all like a really global vision of the field, and I guess it helped me decide what I wanted to do as well. In Massimo Dutti, I was a visual merchandiser, so it helped as well to understand how a boutique works and what's where you should put the products if you want to maximize your sales and if you want to make sure that you get your stock out of the store.
Oh, interesting. Okay, this is going to be my last question, and after that, I'll let Sabrina to continue. So, and how is the Dior business different from the others?
From the others?
Yeah.
In my experience for the brands that I've worked for, I expected Dior to be much more similar to Vuitton than it actually is, because they're both two luxury brands, they're both French and they're both from the same group. So I thought it would be very similar, but actually it's not, because Christian Dior is much smaller than Vuitton still. So sometimes the processes are not so strict. In Vuitton, everything was really like square and like there was a really strong process for everything. For Dior, it's not the same. It's still a little bit, we're still growing a lot. We have very big ambitions. So we're still sometimes figuring things out. And so sometimes it makes your life a little bit more difficult, but then it makes your life a little bit more exciting because you can propose a lot of things. So I would say that that's the difference between those two brands. And then, like I said, Massimo Dutti, completely different story. It's really not about developing clients, or it's not necessarily too much about developing a relationship with a client, even though they want to give the best customer service. And I was really well trained there. It was an amazing brand, but it's more about making sure that the clients can get the right product by themselves, because there's so much foot flow that is just a completely different business.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for answering my questions.
Mine is going to be more specific on this business side. I'm going to ask you, how's Dior's business strategy changed since you've been working for them?
A lot, actually a lot, and I've been here just for 3 years and a half. When I started, so just 3 years and a half ago, the website was so small. Mm-hmm. There was basically nothing on the website. Now it's one of the things that we really want to develop. Like, for example, there were no suits on the website. I work for menswear, there were no suits on the website. I remember when I was in school, which was not that long ago, it was like 7 years ago, and I was in business school as well, and we would ask, the people would come to do conferences in our school, and we would ask about digital strategy, and they would say, well, you know, in the luxury fields, the thing that makes luxury is the experience that the client have in store, and it's not something that's easy to translate on the website. So we don't think that right now the luxury sector is ready for digital. And 7 years ago, it's completely different. And now even Dior, that was a little bit that didn't have the biggest website, now is really developing it. So I guess in terms of operations, for now it doesn't have an effect so much on my job so far, but it probably will eventually, because the sky is the limit, you know. Maybe we're gonna have to maybe the clients are going to be able to order something online, then get it delivered in store. Maybe we're going to have to do returns or exchanges, or maybe they're going to be able to pay something online but pick it up here, or pick it up in store. There's so many opportunities that we have. So I think we're just at the very beginning of it. Then specifically for my department, we changed designer last year. And it has been a massive change. So our previous designer was Chris Van Asch, who's now in Berluti. Amazing person. And now that he's in Berluti, Kim Jones has arrived from Louis Vuitton, and it has been a big change. The style is a little bit different. I would say it's a tiny bit more sporty, whereas before we were very tailored, very slender. So it's definitely attracting a different kind of clientele. We also have bigger shows than before. We have collaborations with artists, which we didn't. So we're learning to work on pre-orders, on deposits, which is something that we didn't know how to do at all. So I would say it's becoming a much bigger business. Just menswear is changing a lot. So I'm very happy to be in that department, because I feel like it's the department where there is a lot of things going on. So it's very exciting.
Okay, this leads me to the second part of the question. Do you think that the fact that improving the style, do it a little bit more sporty, and also improving the website has been done in order to face a younger generation of customer?
I don't know if it was done to attract younger clients. I feel like I mean, for me as a department manager, I have this core business of clients that I had for years that I still want to keep, and I don't want them to feel like suddenly the brand is becoming too young or too different or too sporty for them. And all those more casual pieces are the pieces that we see the most. We see them on Instagram, we see them in the newsletters, we see the sneakers, and that's what people are really responding to, and that's working really well. But at the same time, our house is a couture house. Even if Christian Dior himself didn't create menswear, because it was created in the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, he was passionate about Savile Row. And he got all his suits made in Savile Row in London, and he's the one who introduced menswear fabrics to the ladies. And even when he created ladies, it was really tailored and it was really structured, because he was a fan of architecture. So we can, at the same time as, of course, we want to attract new clientele because we want them to discover the brands that maybe they didn't know before because it wasn't their style. So maybe they were shopping in Gucci or in LV and they didn't know Dior. So we want them to have the opportunity to discover the brand. But at the same time, we're a couture house, and it's something that's really at the core of our values and our business, and we don't want to lose that either. So it's kind of like there's always this balance, kind of this agility that we want to keep between the core business and then expanding it with new products.
Okay, I'm moving to the second question. What is the old digital strategy? And is it the same strategy for men and women fashion, or is that different? Is there any difference?
I believe it's the same. I guess the idea is that we want to make the products accessible to everyone. Unfortunately, not everyone can come to a Dior store. I wish everyone could. I wish everyone could have the experience in here because it's amazing. But unfortunately, we can't. So we're trying to make it accessible to everyone. So because when I think everyone should have access to it, to Dior products. I think it's the same strategy in ladies and in menswear. I feel like actually. Probably the menswear universe and the ladies universe were quite separate before, and I feel like they're becoming more much closer, and you can see some codes that are reinterpreted from ladies to menswear. So I feel like it's becoming really like a global brand, even if we have two designers. So I feel like it's the same, and I feel like there's really this idea that we are trying to find a way to give that to translate that experience that the clients would have in store, try to translate it on a website, which is, I guess, really, really complicated, but I think that's the direction that we're going to. And like I said before, I think there's going to be a lot of changes even for us in the boutiques concerning the development of digital in the company.
Okay, my third question. Finally, are you satisfied with how your career has panned out?
That's a good question. Yeah, I am satisfied. So, like I said, I've always been passionate about fashion. However, when I graduated, so I have a master's degree in marketing. When I graduated, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do exactly. So I did a few internships trying to find what I would do. Did a few internships in product development, in retail development as well. I was in L'Oreal for 1 year, and then I went to Massimo Dutti, started as sales, and then moved to a VM position. And then I knew I wanted to work in fashion, but sometimes you just don't know exactly where to fit or where you're, because it was not a classic. I didn't have a classic background. I studied in Sciences Po as well, so marketing it was a little bit complicated. But I didn't want to be in an office. It was a little bit complicated. But then I found out that Dior and LV actually had this training manager program, which is very similar to a graduate program, let's say, which gives you the opportunity to possibly grow a little bit quicker as a manager in the brands by working in store. And it's, when I remember reading that job offer and thinking, this is so me, this is what I want to do. And I remember applying, having no answer. And then like 1 year later, I met, I was in a mentoring program actually, and I met this person who worked in Dior. Then that's how things happened. I got a short-term contract, and then met HR, and then suddenly one day I was called for a position in UK.
Here I am.
You know, so you just don't stop. You know, if you see something that you like, that you want to do, just go for it. Because at some point it might happen. So it took a little bit of time, but yeah, in the end, and you know, in the end, when I came here, I didn't even know which department I was going to be working for, because I was thinking, well, it's kind of a graduate program, so I can always change. You know, if it doesn't fit, I can always change. And I started in menswear and Selfridges, and I've been growing there because it was the right fit. And I cannot see myself anywhere. It's strange. So I guess it worked out very well. So yeah, I would say I'm happy. What am I going to do next is a very good question, because when you work in retail, you can actually do a lot of things, either carry on in retail or go back to head office. So go to another country maybe. So we'll see.
Perfect. Unfortunately, that was the end of our interview. We really enjoyed both the experience with your experience and interview with you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
And so for the moment, that's it.
Yes,
Okay,
thank
pleasure
you so
to have
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we had a brief presentation of the old boutique of Dior in London, and so it was it was great.
And guys, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe. Yeah, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Subscribe to everything. We have a lot of good content. Let's have love.